What if I told you that in 1985, Buick almost built a car that could go head-to-head with the likes of Ferrari and Lamborghini? Yeah, Buick. Not a Camaro, not a Corvette, not some hidden General Motors project wearing a Chevrolet badge. A full-on mid-engine all-wheel drive supercar wearing a Buick badge like it was completely normal. And the strange part is, they didn't just sketch it. They didn't just show a flashy shell under bright lights. They actually built it, tested it, engineered it like it was heading for production, and then they just stopped. This is the story of the 1985 Buick Wildcat. By the mid-1980s, Buick had a pretty clear identity: luxury, comfort, and quiet rides. The kind of cars you'd expect to see parked outside a country club, not chasing lap times. That reputation didn't come out of nowhere. Buick had been around longer than almost any other American carmaker still standing today, and over the years it built its name on upscale vehicles. At the same time, there were moments where Buick stepped outside that comfort zone. Back in 1939, it introduced the Y Job, widely considered the first concept car ever made. That alone shows Buick wasn't always playing it safe. Then came the muscle car years. Models like the Grand Sport and GSX proved that Buick could build serious performance machines when it wanted to. Fast forward to the 1980s, and the brand shocked people again with turbocharged V6 performance. The Grand National already had a reputation for being one of the quickest cars in the United States. So yes, Buick had some performance credibility, just not in the form of a mid-engine supercar, which makes what happened in 1985 even more surprising. In November of 1985, Buick showed up at SEMA in Las Vegas with something nobody saw coming. Right in the middle of a show known for wild builds and over-the-top creations, Buick managed to stand out. That car was the Wildcat. And this wasn't a nostalgic throwback. Buick had used the Wildcat name before in the 1950s, and again later in the 1990s, but this one was on a completely different level. At a time when supercars like the Ferrari Testarossa and Lamborghini Countach were defined by sharp angles and wedge-shaped designs, Buick went in the opposite direction. The Wildcat was all curves, smooth flowing lines, a low, wide stance, a body that looked more like something from the future than something competing with the boxy shapes of the era. It sat just 43 inches tall, which is incredibly low, even by supercar standards. The proportions were exactly what you'd expect from a serious performance machine. Mid-engine layout, wide stance, compact footprint. And then there was the canopy. Instead of traditional doors, the Wildcat had a massive tinted plexiglass canopy that lifted forward, revealing the entire cockpit in one motion. The design wasn't just for show. The body itself was made from a mix of carbon fiber and fiberglass wrapped around a custom-built structure. This wasn't common in 1985. Using those materials at that level placed the Wildcat far ahead of most production cars at the time. The chassis followed a monocoque-style design, with the suspension mounted directly to it. Speaking of suspension, the Wildcat featured an independent setup inspired by Indy cars aimed at delivering proper handling rather than just straight-line performance. Braking was handled by four-wheel power disc brakes with ABS, paired with wide tires that gave the car serious grip. All of it worked together to create something that wasn't just futuristic in appearance, but in the way it was engineered. Now here's where things get even more interesting. Under the rear section, visible through the design, sat a 3.8-liter V6. That alone doesn't sound too wild, until you hear who helped build it. McLaren Engines. Not the Formula One team as most people know it today, but their American engine division based in Michigan. This partnership wasn't random. Buick had already been working with McLaren on turbocharged engines, pushing the limits of what a V6 could do. For the Wildcat, they took that same 3.8-liter platform and transformed it. The engine received new cylinder heads, dual overhead cams, 4 valves per cylinder, and advanced fuel injection. Depending on the version, output figures varied. For emissions-compliant testing, the engine was limited to around 230 horsepower and 245 pound-feet of torque. But the real story lies in what it was capable of. Rumors and internal figures pointed to around 360 horsepower and 398 pound-feet of torque from a V6 in 1985 and sitting right behind the driver. The Wildcat featured a full-time all-wheel drive system. That system distributed power between both axles using a central transfer case and separate differentials. About 35% of the torque went to the front, with the rest sent to the rear. That kind of setup wasn't common at the time, especially in a performance-focused car. A 4-speed automatic transmission handled gear changes, with a manual shifting option included. Yes, an automatic in a supercar sounds like a strange choice, but it fit Buick's approach of blending performance with usability. From here on, things get a little confusing. Different sources reported different performance figures for the Wildcat. One version claimed a 0 to 60 time of around 8.4 seconds, with the top speed electronically limited to about 70 miles per hour. That sounds underwhelming, to say the least, but another set of figures tells a completely different story. With the unrestricted setup, the Wildcat was said to reach 60 miles per hour in just 4.5 seconds and continue all the way to 180 miles per hour. That would put it right alongside some of the most iconic supercars of the era. Even more interesting, that acceleration figure made it quicker off the line than the Lamborghini Countach LP 500S, which is not something you'd expect from a Buick. So which one is correct? Most likely both. The slower numbers likely came from a restricted version used for testing and compliance, while the faster ones reflect the car's full potential. Step inside the Wildcat and things get even more futuristic. Instead of traditional gauges, the car used digital displays throughout the cabin. At the center, a screen showed everything from torque data to oil pressure, G-force readings, and even a compass. The steering wheel was completely different from anything you'd expect. No spokes, just a central hub with integrated controls and a fixed digital display showing key information like engine speed and temperatures. That design was inspired by earlier concept cars, yet it still looks unusual today. There was even a head-up display projected onto the canopy showing speed and gear selection directly in the driver's line of sight. And the seats mounted directly to the floor. That lowered the center of gravity and improved the car's balance. All of this in 1985, at a time when most cars still relied on basic analog dials and simple interiors. Here's something that sets the Wildcat apart from many other concept cars of its era. It wasn't just a display piece. Buick actually built more than one version. The car shown at SEMA wasn't fully functional, but a second example was built and used for engineering tests. It had a working chassis, a developed drivetrain, real components that could operate under real conditions. That alone puts it in a different category compared to many concept cars that never moved under their own power. After its debut, the Wildcat didn't disappear. It appeared at several international auto shows, gaining attention from enthusiasts and industry insiders. At the Turin Auto Show, it even received an award for Best Prototype of 1985. That kind of recognition shows that people took it seriously, and internally, there was interest too. Engineers believed the concept could be adapted for limited production. The target price was around $50,000 at the time, which would translate to roughly $150,000 today. Not cheap, but not unrealistic for a car aiming to compete with European exotics. So why didn't it make it to production? The biggest issue came from inside General Motors. The Corvette already held the position as the company's performance flagship. Allowing a Buick to enter the same space, potentially outperforming it, created a problem. General Motors wasn't interested in internal competition at that level. Then there was the question of the audience. Traditional Buick buyers weren't exactly waiting for a mid-engine supercar, and younger enthusiasts weren't lining up to buy a Buick, no matter how advanced it was. That left the Wildcat in a difficult position, too radical for one group, not convincing enough for another. Add the cost of production into the mix, and the decision became easier for the company. The project was canceled. After that, the Wildcat faded from the spotlight. The prototype ended up in General Motors' Heritage Collection, where it remains today. Buick returned to building the kinds of cars people expected from the brand: comfortable, refined, safe choices, and that bold attempt at entering the supercar space never happened again. The information in this video was gathered from the sources shown on screen. As always, you can find the sources in the Google Doc linked in the description. I recommend checking them out for more details. If you enjoyed this video, feel free to subscribe and click on the recommended video that appears on the screen. It's all about the 10 rarest American pickup trucks ever built. Otherwise, I'll see you in the next one.